Hi everyone, this is Kate Paxton. Welcome to this Pre-K Updates webinar. Today we're going to explain the updates we've made to the Pre-K class observation and introduction programs. And as Caroline said, we'll also have a little time at the end for you to ask any questions that have come up for you during the presentation. So why did we make these upgrades? We made these revisions to make the materials better based on feedback from both participants and trainers, and also to update logistics information. We also updated the intro to the class tool program to create both full and half-day programs that are more interactive and better support participants' understanding of the class tool. So how did we do it? We gathered feedback. We matched the version 3 materials to our current logistics and delivery guidelines. We updated the look and feel of materials to be consistent with other age levels and to be more user-friendly. What wasn't changed? The pre-K class measure itself, the class manual, the training videos, and the master codes have all stayed the same. So what's included in the supplement? We updated the pre-K materials from version 2 to version 3, so all your new materials will be version 3. We updated the contents of the pre-K class Train the Trainer guide binder. The only item in the binder that wasn't replaced was the dimensions guide. The new pre-K class Introduction and Observation Training Videos DVD has improved navigation and media player optimization. That DVD now only includes video. The PowerPoint presentations are now available only on the trainer panels so that we can update them more easily as needed. So when you get the supplement, please remove all your materials from your binder except for the dimensions guide and replace them with the contents of the supplement. We've packaged them so it'll just be an easy take out all of your other contents and put in the supplement, which will have everything that you need. So now we'll go through the updates for the observation and introduction programs in some more detail. First, we'll look at the updates to the observation training. So for the observation training PowerPoint, we revised the classroom organization activity to provide more scaffolding to support participants as they learn about what interactions look like in different ranges. The activity includes sorting the scenarios into dimensions as it did in version 2. But now it also has participants sorting those scenarios into the low, mid, and high ranges, and then coming up with descriptions of what that scenario might look like in the other 2 ranges. We tested this activity with both affiliate and Teachstone trainers, and were able to make some tweaks to it based on their feedback. The feedback we got from them was that they really liked being able to have participants have that experience with looking at those interactions within the different ranges. The research slides in the PowerPoint were updated and we moved them to an earlier place, and they're now part of the section entitled The Class Measure, Observing What Matters. The points to consider slides, there are now points to consider for all of the dimensions. The coding slides were broken up into 2 sections. The first section on day 1 just introduces coding, and then the second section on day 2 goes into a lot more depth about the coding process and really emphasizes using those descriptive pages in the manual that follow the face pages. The reason that we divided the coding section into these 2 sections was to try to avoid, was to try to introduce sorting on day 1 but lead those video discussions on day one based on range. So thinking about whether that observation fit into low, mid, or high, but to avoid overwhelming trainees with details of selecting numerical scores or thinking about numerical scores at that point. However, the practice and discussions on day two will still focus on selecting codes. Other changes to the PowerPoint, a class resources section was added to describe the class system of products and services. And then finally, notes and formatting within the PowerPoint were revised to increase clarity and to improve the look and feel of those slides. The observation training facilitator materials, as we said, we updated the DVD. We revised the master code justifications to make them fit a new, easier to read format, but the codes have stayed the same. The before, during, and after training logistics that used to be in the facilitator guide have now been removed from there and were added to the affiliate training process document, which is on the trainer panel. The agenda for the observation training is downloadable from the trainer panel, and we recommend that you download and print enough copies for participants prior to each training, or you could attach it to a pre-training email. And then finally, the observation evaluation is no longer included in the print materials. Participants will be sent a link to an online evaluation after the training. Okay, in terms of the participant materials for the observation training, the observation packet for participants now includes a participant guide, the manual, score sheet booklets, and the justifications booklet. As of October 1st, participants will receive 5 score sheet booklets in their packets. They'll need one of those score sheet booklets for the training, one for practice clips, and one for each test for reliability 1, 2, and 3. They'll need to purchase additional booklets for any coding once they've certified and or for recertification. Other changes to participant materials: participants are no longer asked to complete a pre-training activity, but they are asked to watch a pre-training video. And then finally, the reliability info that's in the participant guide was updated to encourage participants to take the reliability test within 2 weeks of training, also to code no more than 2 videos per day. The suggestions also included in the PowerPoint. And the reliability info also no longer states that participants can retake the OBS training after 6 months if they don't achieve reliability, since that time may be changing. Okay, so now we're going to look at the version 3 updates to the introduction to the class tool program. So the pre-K introduction program is now offered as a half-day program or a full-day program instead of the 2, 4, and 6-hour versions. And all of the intro materials were updated with this change. The half-day format is 3 hours of content plus 30 minutes of breaks. The full-day format is 6 hours, and that includes breaks and lunch. The content of the intro program is similar to the previous 4 and 6-hour versions, although both the half-day and the full-day now include activities, whereas the 4-hour version, the previous 4-hour version did not. Other changes to the introduction PowerPoint: the research slides were updated and moved to an earlier place in the PowerPoint as part of the new section, the class tool, looking at what matters. Just like for the observation training, slides and notes were reworded for clarity and to match our current look and feel. The trainer logistics are now available in the affiliate training process documents available on the trainer panel. And one thing to note, participants can download a certificate of participation on their MyClass accounts after attendance is completed by the trainer. So changes to the facilitator materials for the introduction program, revised facilitator guide that now includes the pacing guides for facilitating the full and half-day programs, and then the agenda has been updated, and again that's downloadable from the trainer panel, and you can download and print copies for your participants or attach it for them in a pre-program email. Changes to the participant materials for the introduction program. Introduction materials for participants were optional in the past for affiliate introduction programs. Now, in the version 3, the activities and trainer facilitation notes intentionally incorporate the use of the participant materials, and those are now required across the intro programs. And the reason that we did this, that we feel strongly that those participant materials are needed, is to really encourage full participation, for participants to be able to have more interest in the program, to help the participants follow along and really deepen their understanding of the concepts and the ideas that are presented during the program. Please remember that intro trainings, both the half-day and the full day, need to be registered through the affiliate trainer panel. And also, in the participant materials, activity sheets are included for the putting it all together, video observation, and video reflection. And more information on facilitating that reflection can be found in the PowerPoint notes on that activity slide. A few other additional materials in the TTT binder supplement. The exemplar video descriptions booklet was updated based on trainer feedback. It includes exemplar descriptions for videos used in the introduction and observation programs, with a separate table of contents for each. And the training resources section of the TTT binder was revised and includes the updated DVD FAQs and the class FAQs, which were revised slightly to update the examples to better fit with pre-K, with the pre-K class measure. So in terms of the timeline for the release of these version 3 materials, you can go ahead and order the supplement now if you haven't already. All trainers will need to purchase the supplement prior to delivering any trainings that happen on or after November 1st. And then for those trainings that start on November 1st, the participants will be receiving the updated participant packages. So it's really important that both trainers and participants have the version 3 materials so that training can go smoothly and trainers and participants both have the same materials. Okay, so that is that's a brief explanation of the changes that we've made. So now we have some time to answer your questions, questions that you may have about these content updates, or questions that you might have about the logistics having to do with these updates. Go ahead and enter your questions into the chat box.
Hi everyone, this is Caroline. Just so you know, any questions being submitted that don't have to do with the version 3 updates or the supplement package, I can respond to you via email. So just so you know, I'm not ignoring those questions. It's just that we want to be sure to address the questions that have to do with the webinar. One question we have is, can we still do 2-hour overviews, or are you saying we should only do full or half-day introductions? And yes, from now on, the full and the half-day, because those are the materials that you will have, will be the introductions that you would have to deliver.
If you are looking for something for the people that you work with that's shorter than the half or full day introduction program, a good resource to look at is the online introduction program, which can take about 2 to 5 hours. That's self-paced, so that's a great option if you're looking for something that's a little bit shorter and a little more basic.
The next question we have is, can we have the training using the old version if it's scheduled for before November 1st? And yes, any trainings that are delivered prior to November 1st, or even if you have an October 31st start date, I know a few trainers have that, you will be using the version 2 materials. Your participants will not have the version 3 materials unless your training is from November 1st on. Okay. And then someone asked how much the supplement is. The supplement is $48. We did send out an email to all affiliate trainers with instructions for purchasing them. That it has been posted to the blog, the instructions for purchasing them. There's a special way that you need to log into the Teachstone store to process that. So if you can either go through your emails and see what's come from Teachstone, there's something about the supplement, or visit the blog. There is a post with instructions about purchasing that supplement. And I'll go ahead and repost that as well, just to make sure it's fresh and at the top of the page. So it seems that there might be a bit of confusion about who already might have the supplement. Anyone who took the TTT from August 1st, 2013 on receives the supplement. If you didn't before then, you will have to purchase the supplement. So if you're requesting a training that's going to be on November 1st on, Shantron and I, before we approve the training, will check to be sure, as we're monitoring, who has purchased the supplement, just so we can be sure that you have the materials you need that will match up to your participants' materials. So if any of you are trainers that have just recently become a trainer, as in you took a TTT last week or in mid-August, then you are good to go in terms of the supplement.
And one way to check is to, to make sure that the contents of your binder are the version 3 materials. It should have the version number on each of those materials, and just make sure if you have a recent, if you've done a recent TTT and you're not quite sure, you can check to make sure that you have the right version number. There's a question, this is Kate again, there's a question about the new DVD, and will it have both PowerPoint and videos on it? No, the new DVD will have the videos, and the videos have remained the same. The PowerPoints will now only be available on the trainer panel. So any glitches, the changes that were made to the DVD were to improve the navigation on that. And then also to move the PowerPoints off there, so when those are updated, we can be sure that you're getting those from the trainer panel and those are up to date. So it'll just have the videos on it.
And this is Emily. I would just add the recommendation that before training to download the most recent version of the PowerPoint from your trainer panel, just in case the changes made, if they're not announced, will be very minor, but just so that you can know you're working with the most up-to-date version.
And our next question is, what was the reason behind adding the word measure with class?
Yeah, that's a great question. the classroom assessment scoring system was initially designed by educational psychologists at UVA to measure the quality of interactions in classrooms. So it was initially really developed as a measure, and then at the same time, over at the Center for the Advancement of Teaching and Learning over at UVA, they also started to think about professional development programs that could help improve the quality of these interactions, and developed programs such as My Teaching Partner and some of the other programs that we offer. So the distinction, sometimes we refer to the class measure and sometimes we refer to the class tool. When we're talking about the observation training or we're talking about the instrument itself, generally we're going to refer to the class measure because we're referring to it in terms of how it helps us to understand and evaluate classrooms with the class tool, including the coding system and the 1 to 7 score. When we're talking about using the class specifically for professional development programs, however, we're often not talking about it in measurement terms. We're not talking about coding. We're not talking about assigning a score from 1 to 7. So usually if we're talking to audiences in those programs, we refer to it as the class tool because we're referring to the programs and services that we offer to help teachers improve the effectiveness of those interactions. But when we're specifically looking at observation and reliability testing and using it as a measurement system, then we'll generally refer to it as the class measure.
And then another question we have about if we have already purchased the materials, so the supplement, when can we expect them? I just got word from our inventory coordinator that those have started going out this week, so you should expect, if you've already purchased the supplement or if you've made a pre-order for it, that it will be going out. You should be receiving it shortly. And then just to add, if any of you have November trainings that have been paid, know that we will be sending out, we should start sending out your participant materials with the version 3 updates beginning next week. So there may have been a little delay in receiving the participant materials just because we were waiting for any of those November trainings to make sure they get those new updated materials. In just one moment, we're looking through your questions at the moment. There were quite a few. Someone did ask, do half-day intro trainings have to be requested 6 weeks before? Actually, any class program you're going to deliver, whether it's a class training, the observation training, or the introduction program, need to be requested 4 weeks in advance just because we do ship materials now, and that that assures that the process starts going in a good amount of time and we can get all the materials to them on time.
So there was a question about the PowerPoint. So we can only get the PowerPoint off our trainer panel and the old ones are not to be used. Correct. Moving forward with the version 3 materials, those PowerPoints for introduction and observation have been updated, so you should not use your old PowerPoints. It's really important to get those off the trainer panel. And as Emily said, preferably before each one of your trainings, to download those PowerPoints again from the trainer panel just to make sure if we've made any small updates in the meantime that you've got the most up-to-date version. And that's really why we took them off the DVD, was so we could make those updates when needed, but make sure that you had ready access to them as soon as possible, and didn't have to worry about having out-of-date versions on your DVD. There's a question about the observation videos. That are they the same? Yes, the observation videos are the same. They have not changed. That's true for the exemplars and also for the 5 training videos. So there's a question about new training videos. When will there be new training videos? The video, looking at the video updates were not included in the scope of this revision process. I'm not sure when the video acquisition process is a pretty complex one in terms of being able to gather those videos, do the master coding, and that selection process. So at this point, I don't believe that a revision of those has been planned, although that is something that we'll be looking at next time we have a revision cycle on the pre-K materials.
So there's a question about national averages and whether those are included on our research slides. That's not something we include on our research slides. One reason we don't talk about averages when we talk about the class measure and people trying to learn to observe objectively is that we don't want that to skew people's learning, and we don't want that to take away from the objective nature of the class measure. So that's not something that's in the research slides, but I would let you know that on the class, on the Teachstone website, if you, and I'll ask maybe Caroline just to send the link to this, but if you navigate on the main page from the class tool to Head Start FAQs, there's actually one of the questions is what were the national class scores for the 2012 Head Start reviews, and we do have that listed on our website. So if that's something that's helpful to you, we do have that available. Perhaps we can send a link there, but it's navigated from our main web page, so that's something that you can find.
And I'm just going to reiterate, this is Caroline, I'm going to reiterate a few points I made earlier just because it's a frequent question we've received. Firstly, if you've already ordered your supplement, those have begun shipping out this week, so you should be receiving them soon. If by next week you have not received it, then you can email affiliatesupport@teachstone.com. The other thing is that anyone who's submitting questions that don't have to do with the materials updates, I will be responding to them directly to you via email. We won't address them here just to keep this on the topic of the updates. And then the other question was, when do you start using the version 3 materials? And yes, any training you have scheduled for November 1st on will be on the new materials, but if you have any October trainings, all of those will be using the version 2 materials. Okay, one moment. Sorry, there are just so many questions that we're kind of filtering through them to see which ones we haven't addressed yet.
It looks like there's a question about reliability testing, about explaining to participants to take their test within the first 2 weeks of training and to take no more than 2 a day. I think that we just tightened our language to make sure that this was included in the PowerPoint, and this was something that's pointed out to observation participants. But no actual rules have changed around that. It's just that we want the recommendation to be clear that participants shouldn't plan just one day to take the test, for instance, or they shouldn't wait a month after to take the test. So that the recommendation is taking no more than 1 or 2 videos a day and doing it within 2 weeks from the training.
There's a question about this PowerPoint being available after the training, and it will be posted on the affiliate trainer blog, so it will be available
right.
there.
Okay, someone did ask if we want to use version 3 in an October training, is this possible? That is not possible. It has to go, and it just for our purposes of coordinating with inventory and everything that's gone into this process that we've set in place. Just trainings November 1st on will be on version 3. Anything prior to that will need to use the prior version.
So there is a question about can we get a training on the new material? We don't have any specific training set aside per se, but our recommendation would be to definitely set aside some time between when you get the new materials and when you have a training scheduled to go through everything. As we pointed out in this webinar, the master codes haven't changed, and we've tightened up some of the justifications to make them easier to understand and address a few little content issues, but that shouldn't be a concern. The actual codes haven't changed, so you should be very familiar with them if you're familiar with the version 2 videos and justifications. So I would suggest really just reading through all of the materials, and if you do have questions, contacting the affiliate support, and they can talk to the content team who worked on these materials directly and get you any clarification that you might need after going through them yourself.
Yeah, I just want to, this is Caroline, I just want to add really any questions that you have about these materials once you receive them. If you send them to the affiliate support team, we will get you an answer from the experts and the people that created them. So just any questions that you have, always do send them to us. And there's a question that seems to ask whether this affects recertification in any way and what that looks like, and maybe that even ties into reliability. So nothing about the tool itself has changed, just to reiterate that, and nothing about expectations for recertification have changed. I hope I'm getting to the answer that you were looking for, but nothing about recert has changed. The process will look the same in regard to these materials having changed. That didn't affect recertification. And yes, the updated materials, you will need to purchase them if you attended your Train the Trainer training prior to August 1st, which is when about the time that we sent out news about these updates. So just to reiterate, there is a process for purchasing the supplements. If you don't know what that process is, I will, first of all, anyone who has asked that question, I will email you individually to let you know what that process is, but that process is also posted on the affiliate blog so you know how to purchase it. So just look in those 2 places, but I will get back to any individual who's asked so I can send you those instructions. Okay, so we're getting a lot of questions that don't necessarily have to do with the version 3 materials. So just to reiterate, any questions that don't have to do with this update, we're going to respond to those individuals via email.
So we had a question about whether there were any additional videos that had been master coded that could be used to help people going through recertification, and we've got Chris Patrick here, who's our video guru, to answer the question for us.
And what I also understood was that there was a question about that if people could expect the same kind of supports that are currently available in the new toddler research. So our current plan is to release around mid-October recertification for pre-K and K through 3, basically all recertifications in that new format. We're still testing, so that's definitely not a date that I would say, oh, Teachstone is definitely going to be releasing it that day, but things are looking pretty good for us to actually hit that date. And then after that, in the next couple of months after that, we'll actually be releasing reliability testing in that same format. The supports that you see available in research won't be available to everyone taking a reliability test, just because they will have just gone through a training and don't necessarily need that. But we do have, for example, the coding refresher videos available for each specific age level. And like I said, things look good for a mid-October release on that.
Great, thanks, Chris.
Sure. Okay, so I'm not seeing any additional questions that pertain to the version 3 updates. So just to give everyone a moment, if you do have any additional questions about the supplements or timelines on when that's going to be sent or anything having to do with these updates, we'll just give a minute to let you chat them.
Hi, this is Kate. So we got a question about trainers being able to see the results of the evaluations now that they've moved online. Our research and evaluation director is working on that. She doesn't have an update at this time, but that is something that she has on her radar, and we will let you know as soon as there's some information about a process by which we can get that information to you. Okay. Okay, so it looks like the questions have slowed down. As Caroline said, you're welcome to contact affiliate support at teachstone.com at any point with questions either about these content updates or the logistics. And Caroline will be in touch with you for those of you who asked questions that weren't specifically related to these pre-K updates. I wanted to say that we've kept this webinar fairly short. The updates that we made to these programs were quite extensive, although a lot of them were fairly minor. You know, we've tried to keep it brief to not overwhelm you with information. This webinar will be available to you on the affiliate trainer blog. And as you go, once you receive the supplement, as Emily suggested, we encourage you to go through it. If you have more specific questions at that point, or you know, or want clarification or some more detailed examples of some of the points that we've made today, please do contact us through the affiliate support email, and we'll be happy to help you with those. So I think on that note, we'll go ahead and close. Thank you very much for your time and attention today. We look forward to hearing from you, and we hope that you'll have a great experience and find that these new materials better support your ability to work with your participants and to deliver these programs. So thank you very much.
Thank you.